back to On the Ball. This is your review of the Premier League. Sim on 315 points, me on 301 points. 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result. Starman, once you pick that man, you cannot pick them again for the rest of the season. 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. Let's start off Friday night football at the London Stadium. It was a battering. West Ham 4, Wolves 0. We both went for more hopium maybe at 1-1. But yeah, it was West Ham laid down the marker, didn't they? They said, we're not going to be the ones to go down. They showed confidence. They showed finishing touch. I mean, it was one-way traffic for the majority of it.
Yeah, well, obviously, I didn't see the game live, but I've seen the highlights, and you can see the confidence just right through this West Ham team. For the goal, for Tati's first goal, Castellanos, that Pablo's in this crazy flick to play a through ball to him with a great finish. Mavropanos for the final goal, scoring with a scissor kick. You can see there is confidence flowing through that West Ham side. Now, obviously, they are playing bottom of the table Wolves, who have given other teams a bit of a go in recent weeks and definitely claimed some pride back after what was a disastrous first half of the season. But West Ham did dismantle them very comfortably and a lot more comfortably than I expected them to. And they really definitely made a bit of a statement, albeit it is only Wolves, so they're going to have to do it in other games. There's still a lot of games to be played. But it was a very comfortable, confident victory. I think that's going to be the most important thing for them. The fact that some of their attacking players are, first of all, Castellanos getting a brace when he hasn't been firing on all cylinders in the Premier League. He hasn't been scoring that many goals. That will give them a real boost of confidence. Some of their attacking players showing flair. I think Somerville being back in the team as well would have given them a massive shot in the arm. Keeping a clean sheet. And I just think the manner of the win is the most impressive thing here for West Ham, and that should give them a lot of confidence in this run-in, and I think will scare some of their relegation rivals.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're seeing the value of, making signings that you need in January. They brought in these attacking players, and he's got them 2 vital goals in this game. Mavropanos, I mean, he looks like a changed man over these last couple of weeks. He's been fantastic, and he gets 2 goals in this game from centre-back. But you're looking at it, and you're looking at every single relegation rival showing a willingness to get points apart from Tottenham. That's what it is right now. So you've got to say massive credit to West Ham for going out and just putting Wolves away. It probably is their easiest game from now to the end of the season, this game, but you've got to beat what's been put in front of you. And Wolves have been on a decent run, haven't they? Obviously, maybe of late they've let it slip again, but on a whole, these last 5, 6, 7 games, everyone's been praising Wolves. So you can't just say, oh, it's only just Wolves, So I think you've got to give them credit.
But it is only just Wolves.
Yeah, look, it is. But they've been on a decent run.
No, yeah.
We were envisaging them to have a really hard night.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who it is because there's 6 games to go, or now 6 games to go. You've got to take every point that you can get. So it's a good win. They're going to have tougher tests from now to the end of the season, but I think it's the manner of the win which will give the West Ham fans a lot of hope that they have really got the stomach for this run-in. Because you see, especially Tottenham at the moment, they can't seem to pull any sorts of magic out the hat or any sorts of quality. And West Ham showed in this game that they got players willing to try things, who got the quality to pull things out the bag. And it was a very good win. And you got to say, fair play to West Ham. And I think Somerville being back was massive for them as well. So, look, they're only 2 points above the relegation zone. So, obviously, they're not out of it by any stretch. They're still well and truly in the fight. But I think, especially after, this is the first game after the international break and they actually played, didn't they, in the FA Cup? And they lost. So, yeah. But even that game, they were 2-0 down. And in stoppage time, they got 2 goals. So, even in that game, they gave fans hope that they're not giving up. They're going to go right to the end. And that was kind of like a bit of a marker. And obviously, this game showed they're not going to lie down in this fight. They're taking this right to the end. Yeah,
but they do. I think on paper, out of all the teams, they've probably got the hardest games from now to the end of the season. They do have very difficult games.
They do, but fair play to them. Not long ago, they drew with City, didn't they? They when they went to Stamford Bridge, they was 2-0 up, and they let it go, but they put in a very good display. Did they play Man United recently? I can't remember.
They lost to Villa in the last game.
Lost to Villa before in the last. But look, they've shown that they can compete even against good teams in recent weeks. United, they drew. It was only a last minute, wasn't it? Last minute Tesco goal.
Yeah.
So even the tougher games recently, they've not been performing badly.
Yeah. Let's move on to Arsenal against Bournemouth at the Emirates. The only thing to give us a bit of a smile this weekend, as the title race has been blown wide open. You went for 2-1. I went for 1-0, both in the favour of Arsenal. But, I mean, look, Arsenal just completely shut the bed in this game, didn't they? I thought they were horrific. I thought Bournemouth, the only team that looking like they wanted to win. I thought Arsenal looked nervy. They looked tepid. They didn't have any sort of imagination to their play. And, look, Bournemouth go 1-0 up, don't they, with a nice finish at the back post from Junior Krupp, who, by the way, is having an incredible season as a 19-year-old, first season in the Premier League.
Doesn't get enough hype, does he?
No, not at all. Not at all. Like, he is having a fantastic season. Great finisher as well. Yeah, 19 years of age. Then Arsenal get back into the game, which I thought was a bit of a lucky penalty to get it back to 1-1. And you're thinking, all right, maybe Arsenal going to shithouse this and end up winning the game 2-1. But Tottenham fan Alex Scott making a mockery of the Arsenal defence, and they go and win the game 2-1. I thought it was a fantastic performance from Bournemouth.
Yeah, and by the way, they're unbeaten. I think they're on the longest unbeaten run in the whole Premier League, albeit a lot of them being draws. But I think they're, 13 or 12 unbeaten now?
When they're on a run like they're on, like, it can go one of two ways. Like, if they win their next game, you're thinking, oh, what a great run. But if they lose it, all of a sudden you're thinking, all right, we haven't won in a long time.
4 wins in whatever. I think what I took away from his Arsenal performance was they're just overcome with fear. I think the fear of what they could achieve and what they're so close to touching is I think they're feeling the weight of that, and I think they're also feeling the weight of past seasons when they've been in similar positions and fallen short and not got over the line. And I think you can see it in their play. They're trying to control every moment. They're trying to make sure that they're not giving away any chances. They're not trying things anymore. They're trying to avoid mistakes at any cost. They're not playing through the ball through the middle anymore. They're only trying to play out wide, do the whole corner thing and kind of not take any risk. But when you're in the Premier League, when you're where they are on the table and you're at home to a good team like Bournemouth, you've got to risk some stuff to risk opening them up and try and create chances. Otherwise, you become very stale and very easy to deal with. And you know what? Bournemouth found them so easy to deal with. Mm-hmm. Bournemouth barely broke a sweat stopping Arsenal from scoring because Arsenal didn't ask any tough questions because they're so scared of what the outcome would be. They're so scared of, what if we lose the ball and it's a counter-attack? So what would happen was they would very pensively just play the ball side to side, make sure there's very easy passes, never take any risk, never play the ball through the lines because in case I lose it. And it ended up Bournemouth were very, very comfortable in the game. They settled into the game very quickly, and Bournemouth were the ones playing the nicer football. They were the ones playing in between the lines. They were playing the through balls. They were playing the lovely football. Look at the 2 goals they scored. Mm-hmm. The first one, Christie plays a beautiful through ball to Truffet, I think, on the left-hand side. And obviously they get the goal from there. But I didn't see Rice, Zubamendi, or Havertz play any sort of through ball like Christie did for that first goal. You look at the second goal. What beautiful interchanges. In the first-time ball into Krupi. He lovely little layoff into Scott. He's taken a risk by making a late run, because if he doesn't get the ball there, what happens? Bournemouth may be open in the centre because he's out of position. But he takes that risk, he makes the late run, he gets into the box, he gets ahead of the defender and he scores a goal, and Bournemouth are in the lead. But Arsenal players weren't making those runs. They're paralysed by fear. And I think it comes from the whole. I wouldn't say it comes from one place. I think you can definitely put some blame on Arteta, because clearly how they've been playing, especially since the turn of the year. I think they've been playing, to be honest, a lot of this season in that fashion. I think early in the season, maybe the handbrake was off a bit more. Definitely since the turn of the year, there seems to be a fear in the way they're playing. They've definitely been relying on tight results and stuff like that. But I think it's the whole club. It's the fan base. It's Arteta himself hyping up the game, playing TikTok montages to hype up these players before this game, when it should have been just a routine, normal game against Bournemouth, and he's like hyping up until this like massive game. You got the fans who are riddled with anxiety when they're watching their team. Whenever anything goes wrong, all of a sudden you've got flashbacks of what happened a few years ago, and that they haven't let that go, and so they're so scared of that happening again. They've even got fans calling for Arteta's head, even though they're still, at this moment in time, 6 points clear at the top of the table. They've got fans saying Arteta should be sacked if they lose to Man City, because they're so scared of bottling it again. And I think the players as well, themselves, they're scared. And I think it's bearing out in their performances. And don't get me wrong, they are getting it over the line in some other games, Against Everton, they scored 2 last-minute goals. They got over the line. And some other games that they are coming the right side of it. But I think anyone watching Arsenal over the last few months knew something like this was probably coming.
Absolutely. I mean, not only that, in training last week, they were doing this crazy balancing a pen with each other on the head. I mean, I don't know what they're doing in training. I mean, they should probably focus on football more than just balancing pens on their heads and stuff like that. But no, you're 100% right. This is a club riddled with PTSD from what happened 2 years ago. And I've said it to you time and time again this season. This team, whenever they have an opportunity, a massive opportunity to really solidify that spot, more times than not, they shit the bed. It's happened time and time again this season, time and time again over the past couple of seasons, and this is another kind of example of it. They had the opportunity to go 12 points clear in this game.
With City going to Chelsea away, I know they end up winning. Yeah. But if Arsenal would have won, that puts a lot more pressure on City, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and they had the opportunity to go 12 points clear, and you're looking at this season. If you're an Arsenal fan, right, you're looking at this season, right, and it is just petering out very quickly. They lost to Southampton in the FA Cup. They had the easiest run in the FA Cup. Didn't face a Premier League side. Not in that anymore. The final against Man City, it was a disgusting display from them again, and Man City made light work of it. I mean, oppositions, when they're placing Arsenal right now, it seemed like they're in for an easy game. However, I would say, it's nowhere near over yet. No. There's still a long way to go, and I still put Arsenal down as favourites to win the title. But with the trajectory of the two clubs right now, if you're a betting man, you probably put money on Manchester City to win the league.
It's funny you say trajectory of both clubs. In the last 5 games, Arsenal still have more points.
It's true, because in the Premier League, I'm talking about the recent games. You're looking at what Man City have done. Obviously, we'll get into Man City, what they did this weekend a bit later, but 3-0 against Chelsea, 4-0 against Liverpool in the FA Cup. They are swatting good teams aside right now quite easily.
You cast your mind back to before the international break. It seemed as though it was Arsenal. City had just won 2 games in a row. Yeah. Arsenal went 9 points clear, and you're thinking it's over. That's it. Arsenal have got the title in the bag. I think again there are some moments in the season where you look back on it that could be a turning point. We saw that moment at Anfield, and they had an initial boost, and then Arsenal overcame that again. But I think that Carabao Cup game was so big because it was a chance for Arsenal to kind of symbolically show a changing of the guard in terms of the power in the Premier League, or who's going to be the new winners, the new big dogs in the Premier League. Obviously they were ahead in the league table, but taking them on in a cup final, I think if they would have won that, they would have shown, okay, we're here now. This is we're the new team that's going to dominate this league. But they lost. They didn't just lose. City kind of little broed them a bit, and they kind of lost comfortably. And Arteta was out tacticked. The team, City seemed to be still the team to beat in that fixture, and they seemed to be still the powerhouse in the Premier League. And Arsenal, I think they really failed to show in a crucial moment that they are now the best team in the Premier League. And I think that was a crucial moment, the fact they lost that. And I think the psychological damage that could have done, because it plays into everything. Not only does it continue their trophy drought, they lost it to Man City comfortably as well, and it put doubts in their mind of, oh wow, could City still catch us? Are City still a better team than us? Are we still not as good as we think we are? I think all those doubts creeped in, and to follow that up with the defeat to Southampton, and now a defeat to Bournemouth. Obviously, there was a win in the Champions League in between, but they got the second leg tomorrow. To lose to Bournemouth on top of that, I think there's obviously going to be massive doubts now in that dressing room, and it's going to take some hell of a pick-me-up. But you know what? If they go to Etihad and even get a point, they're in the driving seat again. Yeah,
I think a point is massive for Arsenal, and I'll tell you, you're going to see the most disgusting low block, the most haram of haram balls you'll ever see at the Etihad, and that's what Arsenal are going to do. And I think that's probably the right way to play it, because they just need a point out of that game. Just stop City winning, and they're massive favourites again for the title, in my opinion. But the Arsenal fans, it's funny because I've never seen a team 9 points clear of the Premier League and their team gets booed off the pitch.
It's ridiculous, in fact, and I think that comes from the fact that from a lot of the season, they've been favourites for the title. They've been big points clear in the race and everything. And I think they've seen other title wins in previous years, Man City and Liverpool, And I know Man City and Liverpool together have had like close races, but last season Liverpool kind of won it at a canter. Man City have done it a few times, winning it kind of comfortably. And they kind of just need that to happen for them. They just need to win it comfortably without any scares. And that's the kind of how the only way they can kind of survive, like get through it. And the fact that that's like kind of every time they have the chance to kind of make the league insurmountable, they always keep failing. And they see that as a failure of the team and the manager, and not just as a consequence of a tight title race. And because of the PTSD, that's leading to these false expectations that they should be walking this title. And that's what's leading to booing at the end of games when they're 6 points clear. Yeah. I think it's madness.
9 points clear.
Well, they're 9 points clear at the end of the game. Yeah, you're right. I think it's crazy that the fans are reacting this way, and I think it's a nonsense, and it's entitled. It's like they're entitled to a league title. That's how they feel.
But it's just
when they
like,
haven't won one in,
but it's ridiculous. Like you see Spurs fans right now, and obviously we've seen boos at the end of games a lot this season. But for the most part, Spurs this season, particularly in the last few weeks, have been backing their team and singing out loud and proud. And we've been singing louder than Arsenal fans over the last couple of weeks, and it's crazy. We're like reside to relegation. They're 9 points clear at the top of the Premier League. Like, I can't believe what I'm seeing right now from the Arsenal fan base. They should be trying to back their team to the fullest, and they're just so nervous, so riddled with PTSD, they just can't do it.
They're entitled.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Brentford against Everton. It finished 2-2. It was 1-1 at one stage, and I was like, all right, come on, let's see this 5-pointer come my way. But there's two late goals, wasn't it? One from Thiago with 15 minutes to go, then Dewsbury Hall, who's on fantastic form over the last couple of weeks, settles it up for a 2-2 draw in stoppage time. But Igor Thiago, another 2 goals in this game, one behind Erling Haaland in the Golden Boot race, which is mad when you think about the form that Erling Haaland was on first half of the season. Obviously, he's gone a bit off the boil second half, but for Igor Thiago, pretty much his first year in the Premier League, because he was injured all of last year, to do what he's done is just incredible.
Yeah, and he just keeps rolling on, doesn't he? It was a really good performance. I think in terms of both teams going into this game, I thought it was so obvious to me, because if either team won, they would have been level on points with Liverpool in the Champions. I was like, it's obviously going to be a draw then, because neither teams are going to take advantage, because I don't think neither team is actually going to get that Champions League spot. And so it happened. Brentford looked for all the world to see it was going to be them, and I was watching this game, they were brilliant. They were much the better team for a lot of it, and they will be kicking themselves they didn't end up with the victory. But at the end of the day, Everton just pegged them back, and they weren't able to keep that 2-1 lead. And they're not
on good form though, Brentford, are they? They've got like one win since mid-February.
It's unbeaten, but in 5, but they're 4 draws in a row. I mean, look, it's good for them. They're probably some of the best form they've been in. They're still 7th, and they're only 1 point behind Chelsea, which is incredible. Yeah. But there was a real opportunity to really show that they're proper candidates for Champions League, and they just didn't take it, and that will be really frustrating. Because if they get Champions League or even Europa League, that is something special for them, considering everyone predicted them for the drop or a relegation fight at the very least at the beginning of the season. They're really showing a lot of people, everyone really, who's predicting the beginning of the season to be mugs, and they don't know what they're talking about, because they just keep rolling on. Everton, look, it's not a bad result, is it? Especially when you're 2-1 down in the 90th minute.
I think both teams will be disappointed with that result, because they know it was a real opportunity to lay down that marker and to go ahead of Chelsea, go to a couple of points behind Liverpool. But all things considered, both of these teams would have taken this position at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but Everton, considering 2-1 down, 90th minute, get the equaliser and take the point at that point.
Yeah. All right, Burnley against Brighton, 2-0 to Brighton at Turf Moor. I went for 2-1, you went for 3-1. Kind of easy, is it? Matt Weaver getting 2 goals. I think that's the first time he's ever scored a brace, he said after the game. I don't think it was like the most convincing performance by Brighton, but they just got the job done.
Yeah, I think Burnley had a few goals ruled out for VAR, didn't they? So that'll be frustrating for them. Obviously, we know they're going to go down, and they're I don't know how many games away, maybe a couple of games away from mathematically being relegated. But they're not long to go there, Burnley. But they're still fighting, aren't they? They're still giving it their all. But Brighton, they are I think they're the form team in the league at the moment. They're 4 wins in 5. They've really turned it around. And now they're only 1 point behind Everton and Brentford, who are only 1 point behind Chelsea. So they're at the end of the game, Hertz has said, we've got 6 cup finals left. The Brighton players were doing messages on social media saying the European hunt is on. They're full of belief now, considering a few weeks ago there was chance of sacked in the morning from their own fans at Hertzler when they lost to Palace at home.
We were talking about them creeping into the relegation battle.
We were talking about that, and now they're very much in the hunt for Europe, very much right in the thick of it. And they're a team with how they play football, like they do play football in a very attacking way. And I wouldn't bet against them. I wouldn't bet against them up against Everton and Brentford to be the ones to seriously challenge.
I did a Premier League predictor last night for the rest of the season, and I had them finishing 6th.
There you go.
So I think they're going to do it. I think they're the ones with the most kind of momentum right now. They're the best team, I think, between those guys. And, yeah, I think they've got favourable fixtures as well. So, we'll see what happens. Liverpool, though, 2-0 against Fulham. You went for 2-2. I went for 2-1. So I get a point on the board here. And it's just standard Liverpool at Anfield. They just find a way to get the job done, which we've seen a lot of times this season. Not the best display, but getting over the line and getting the 3 points.
Yeah, great goal from Rio. What a talent he looks to be. A brilliant goal from him. And I think Liverpool would have taken a bit of heart from the fact that Everton and Brentford both drew. So the pressure was off them a bit and they just got the job done. And considering how bad their form has been for a while, the fact that they're now 4 points clear of Chelsea, is surprising because you'd expect them to be really in that fight for the teams below them, and they would have been level on points if other results went the other way, but didn't, and they won their game. The other teams drew, and now they're looking comfortable again. Probably going to go out the Champions League this week. The question marks about Slot still remain. Albeit most people are still saying they're going to keep him, which is interesting.
Yeah, I can't see it.
That's what they're saying. That's what the most reliable people are saying that he's going to say.
I think maybe that's the message that they're putting out now. But I think come the summer, Xabi Alonso sitting right there, I think it just makes sense.
From the outside, it does, but who knows? Because he did win the league last year.
Yeah, he did.
He did win the league. So if he comes back and gets Champions League, I mean, considering what's happened over the last year. It's not the worst.
It's not the worst. Look, the results I'm just not convinced with the way they play. I'm looking at games, particularly away from home. They're not showing an ability to get results away from home, first and foremost. The league's so tight. So I think, they're kind of capitalising on their home form and Chelsea being so bad. If Chelsea weren't bad and they actually put some competent performances together, there'll be a scare of them not making Champions League. So I don't think they're making Champions League because they've been that good. It's just because I think Chelsea have been that poor.
No, they haven't been good. They have been bad. They're, as I was saying, they're definitely lucky to be in this position, but it's going to be interesting to see how Liverpool play this next season. There have been a lot of mitigating circumstances for them, and also a lot of change in the summer. Was it necessary to change so much in the squad, which they did? But it'll be interesting to see what they do. But look, the good win and puts them in the driving seat now for that 5th spot.
Next up is Crystal Palace 2, Newcastle 1. You went for 0-0. I went for 3-1 to Newcastle. This was a big shock to me. But then I think it's gone a bit under the radar how much Glasner has actually turned it around at Crystal Palace over the past 3-4 weeks. They're actually on really good form. If you look at the form table, last 5 games, I think they're sitting 5th or something like that.
Well, only one loss. I
think, it's incredible the job that Glasner has done to get them from where they were to where they are now. They're now sitting above Newcastle. 3-4 weeks ago when they played Tottenham and they beat Tottenham, everyone was saying that they're going to drop down into the relegation fight. But ever since then, they've been on, Tottenham gave them a pick-me-up and they've been on some really good form. Won't be the first team, won't be the last probably. But, worrying signs for Newcastle and Eddie Howe losing this game, especially I think it's Crystal Palace's first win post-European game as well. But Mateta, back from injury. He came in the Europa League in midweek, got a goal. And he came on in this game and got 2 goals. Yeah,
it looks like he's got over those knee problems, hasn't it? And clearly, we know he's a good striker in there, and fantastic for him, and great kind of comeback for Palace as well. Especially being 1-0 down, you thought that was going to be a tough day for them. As after Thursday, would they start to feel fatigue and whatever? But they came back and won. Fair play to them. Fair play to Glasner. Unbelievably, they're only 6 points off Europe. Or 5 points off Europe if you're looking at 7th, which is, you never know. It's not a lot at all. Could they? And also they're very much still in that Conference League, and they won 3-0 in their first leg. So there's two routes for them into Europe for Crystal Palace. And considering where they were on a run of, 12 games or something without a win. Glasner, was confirmed having leaving at the end of the season. Where he left in the window, you're thinking, God, is this all falling apart for Palace? And it seemed a club fatigued, and it seemed a project coming to the end. And in some ways it still is, because Glasner I don't think is going to stay unless he does some sort of U-turn. But the fact that he's still managed to get a second win from these players, and they're going strong again, and they're going strong in Europe, just shows Glasner's managerial credentials, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's nice that they've got some players back now, and they've actually got players on the like in this game. Mateta didn't start, Ismail Assar didn't start, Adam Wharton didn't start. They all came on in the game, and that's where they took the lead, in the latter stage of the game. So I think that kind of ability to be able to change players, because before in that early stage of the season they had so many injuries and they weren't be able to rotate anyone. It was basically the same 11 playing 2 games a week and everything like that, and you could see them struggling for it. But now they've actually got the ability to change a few things.
But Palace 14th, Newcastle 14th.
Yeah, I know.
Crazy.
I know. We've had this conversation about Eddie Howe a lot, kind of this season. In my opinion, I think they should stick with him and back him in the market if they can. But I don't know. Do you think they will maybe call it a day at the end of the season?
Yeah, is it coming to an end? I guess the weird way, again, similar to Palace, they're still in the fight for Europe because of how close the table is. So they need a strong end to the season. But considering they went out of Europe, you're thinking, okay, 1 game a week, are they going to go back to their best? And it hasn't changed their fortunes, has it? Going out to Barcelona. So that has got to be a real worry. And the pressure is going to start to build on Eddie Howe, considering he's been there for a while. It's happened. This isn't the first time that they've kind of fallen when they've been in Europe as well. So that's got to be a bit of a mark against him. But I guess it depends where they finish. And I think the margins are so fine, there's going to have to be elements of luck as to where they finish. I think then he needs to be in Europe at the very least, or at the very least in the top half. If they're bottom half, I think they may be going another direction.
Potentially. Next up is Nottingham Forest against Aston Villa, a significant game down at the bottom and for the Champions League spots. Both these teams fighting in Europe as well, and we both predicted 1-1. And I think it played out how we expected, a bit of a lethargic game, an even game. And I think 1-1 was probably a fair reflection of the game. I think Murillo scores an own goal to put Villa ahead. Nico Williams levels it up and kind of petered out a little bit.
Yeah, and Forest unbeaten in 4 games now, 3 draws and a win.
Yeah.
So they're building some sort of momentum. And as well, in the Europa League, got a good draw in Porto in the first leg. So they're feeling a lot better about themselves. Again, probably with that win against Spurs really helping them, and that giving them a little boost of confidence that they need. I think Aston Villa stopped the slide a bit after they lost 3 in a row, and then now they're 1 and got 4 points in their last 2 games. So they're looking more comfortable in that Champions League spot, and they look like they was definitely in danger of falling out. I think that they're going to look more comfortable now, and they're doing well in Europa League. And could they get top 5 and win the Europa League? That'll be an unbelievable season for Aston Villa.
I think that's exactly what they're going to do. I can't see them getting outside the top 5 now. 7 points above Chelsea.
I can't see anyone catching it. Yeah,
they're not going to drop below Chelsea this season. So I think they will need 3 more wins out of their last 6 games to confirm Champions League. So get 1 or 2 wins early doors in the first 2 or 3 games, and then focus on the Europa League, and that'll be done and dusted. And I think Unai Emery, you're not back against Unai Emery to win the Europa League, are you?
Definitely not. They do have City and Liverpool in their last 2 games. But again, as you said, if they get the job done before then, it won't matter.
Yeah.
So fair play to them. But yeah, Forest, look, in terms of relegation, they're still 3 points above Spurs. So it's still very close. But they've got a bit of momentum behind them now, which they didn't seem to have a few weeks ago. Vitor Pereira may be starting to get a tune out of these players. We know they do have a good squad. They do have good players, and he seems to be balancing both quite well in recent weeks. So, fair play to him. Decent result. Look, it's only a draw, so it didn't pull away, but they just kept ticking over, kept the gap growing by a tiny bit, and they'll be confident for sure that they're going to be safe.
Next up, Sunderland and Tottenham. Sunderland 1, Tottenham 0. We both went for 1-1. Really disappointing for Tottenham and Roberto De Zerbi in his first game in charge. Now with 6 games to go. And with everyone around us pretty much picking up points, it was a detrimental weekend. It really was. Spurs went into the bottom three on Friday night and were not able to claw themselves out of it. And, the goal was fortuitous, but, when you're down at the bottom, things go against you like that. And I felt like things were going against us pretty much all game. It wasn't just the goal. It was a number of big refereeing decisions. Brobby should have been sent off in the first half. A doggy was through and goal, got hacked down, and nothing was given. There was just so many little other decisions as well apart from that. But look, there's no point making excuses. There's no real excuses to make because Spurs weren't good enough to get anything from the game anyway. So I think it was probably a fair reflection of the game 1-0.
I think a draw would have been a fair result. I think both teams were not really good enough to win, but at the end of the day, they scored, we didn't, and we didn't do enough to score. And that's the reality of the situation. We weren't good enough to get a goal in this game. And I think that is a sad indictment of where Tottenham are. Even De Zerbi coming in with his attacking style of play wasn't able to change anything in the short term for Tottenham to muster up any sort of chance creation.
Just more of the same, though, wasn't it?
It was more of the same. Nothing really changed. I think in the first maybe half an hour, there were little signs of what we could do. But at the end of the day, it petered out quite quickly. We weren't able to sustain it, which was maybe understandable, given it's only his first game. But at the end of the day, we don't really have time to be understanding. We need a massive change. We need a massive swing in momentum. We need a massive change in results. And unfortunately, on this evidence, it ain't going to come anytime soon. And that's a massive worry when it comes to the relegation fight for Tottenham. Still no win in 2026. No wins now in 14 games. 2 wins in 23 games in the Premier League. They are sinking without a trace, unfortunately. And given the fact that every other team around them are in much better form as well, given the fact we don't have the easiest fixtures now between now and the end of the season. You're looking at Tottenham now 2 points adrift with the fixtures of other teams and them winning at the moment. You're looking at potentially 3 wins, I think, at minimum, looking like, or maybe 2 wins and 2 draws or something to stay in this division. And Tottenham can't even look like to get a point, let alone a win at this current moment in time with 6 games to go. Obviously, there's time. There's 18 points to play for. So there's definitely points to be won there. But Tottenham just looks so devoid of any confidence, any sort of kind of coherent strategy on the pitch, which the players are kind of well-oiled or well-versed in. They're now learning a new approach and something new to do. And at the moment, it just looks like it's come too little too late. We've chopped and we changed. We've made so many bad decisions. We've still got bad injury problems. All that is culminating on a product on the pitch which is hard to watch. And I just think most Tottenham fans looking at this would have to accept that the most likely situation is we are going down, and that is the reality.
Yeah, that is the most likely situation, and something needs to change, and it needs to change quick. But we've been saying that for a long time. But the only change in that is that Roberto De Zerbi has come in, and maybe he can get something into these players in these final 6 games. I think the big defining moments in the season is going to come in the last 3 games, and I think it's going to go down to the wire. I really believe that. And Romero out for the season as well.
Yeah, another hammer blow.
Another hammer blow to Tottenham.
Just keeps getting worse and worse for Spurs. When you think it's at its lowest, something else comes out the next day, which makes things even worse.
It's mad to think about, 2 weeks ago, De Zerbi gets announced as Tottenham manager, and you're thinking, all right, De Zerbi's in, Kudus is going to be back for the next game week. They're saying he's doing individual training, going to join the team soon, everything like that. Within the week, Kudus out, lost his first game, Romero's out for the season. It's just like, you can't make this up.
Whatever can go wrong has gone wrong for Tottenham this season, and I don't know how we turn it around. It's going to be a great escape from this point. It's going to have to be a great escape.
Yeah. Chelsea, Manchester City, 3-0 to Manchester City at Stamford Bridge. I went for 2-0, you went for 3-2. We both get a point on the board here. Fairly even first half, I would say, and then Man City just taking complete control in the second half. Ryan Cherky just toying with Chelsea in that second half. This guy is a phenomenon. He is such a maverick. What a player to watch. I was saying to someone that I think Ryan Cherky is my favourite player to watch in the Premier League for a long time. He's not this like robotic player, this system player that kind of sticks to his. He comes up. He's a full box of tricks, and he kind of goes against the grain of what Premier League players are and have been over the past 5 or 6 years. And I just love watching this guy play. I really do.
He just gives you an X factor, doesn't he? You never know what he's going to do. He's so unpredictable, and I love that about him. And yes, they've been...
He's like a player out of the 90s, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there were question marks, obviously, before City signed him, attitude and all these things. But when you got that talent and you pair him up with someone like Pep, who knows how to get the best out of these kind of players, he's done it so many times in his career. And I think Ryan Cherky is in the next in a long list of players who are going to be completely maxing their output now under Pep Guardiola. What a talent this guy is. He's a box of tricks. He's got a left foot, right foot. You know, there are sometimes you think he's on the ball, there's no options, and then he just does a kick up and then does a pass over the top to Semenyo. Like, how the hell did he even see that? Brilliant. What an assist for Guehi for the second goal. Unbelievable. He is unbelievable talent. I'm so happy he's in the Premier League, and he makes the Premier League so much more watchable when he's on the pitch. And I think he just gives City that X factor in their attack when he's there. And I think obviously there's give and take with it. You might have to, put a few more legs in midfield or whatever, or adjust your system to account for him, because is he going to do the tracking back? Is he going to do these things, right? And maybe the answer is no. But I think he's so valuable on the pitch, you just got to have him in there. And sometimes there are players that are just so good, you've got to make adjustments for them. And I think he's up. I think he's that. And when you compare him to like the number 10s that Arsenal have, they're just so different. Like, you can see Odegaard and Eze have had every single ounce of creativity and flair like just drilled out of them by Arteta, where Cherky's just like loving life at the moment, and he's doing Rabonas and he's doing this and that. Like, you don't see that from the players at Arsenal at the moment.
There was one moment where he just gets the ball, does a kick up, and then just that plays a through ball. It's just
it's crazy. But anyway, in terms of City, they smell blood, don't they? They absolutely smell blood. I don't think they win this game as comfortably if Arsenal didn't lose the day before.
I disagree.
I know Chelsea.
I disagree.
I know Chelsea are out of sorts at the moment.
I think they were always winning this game comfortably.
I don't think so. I think if they had to win, if Arsenal hadn't won, if Arsenal had won, and the pressure would have been on, I think there would have been a lot closer game, and I think the pressure would have been a lot more on City, because they think the title would have been half gone almost if Arsenal would have won that game. The fact that they lost, that I think you could see on the pitch, they really smelt blood in the water at the moment, and they, especially that second half, they took the game away from this Chelsea team very comfortably. They won it, and I think they really laid down a marker, didn't they? You had that City fan drinking the Arsenal bottle in the stands, really laying down a statement of a victory. And I think that how big now is that game at the Etihad? Is that one of the biggest games in recent years, probably, in terms of the title race?
It's a title-defining game, in my opinion. I think if Man City win it, I think they're going to go on and win the title. If Arsenal win or draw, I think they're going to go on and win the title. I think it's going to be as simple as that.
If City win, it's then out of Arsenal's hands.
Yeah.
Arsenal can't do anything. Because if City win and then win their game in hand, they will be on top of Arsenal in goal difference mathematically. There's no point.
How many goals in it?
There's 3 at the moment, but you've got to remember, even if City win 1-0 against Arsenal, then Arsenal go down 1 and City go up 1.
Yeah.
And if City win 1-0 the next game in their game in hand, then they then go above Arsenal in goal difference. So if City win their next 2, or if they beat Arsenal and win their game in hand, regardless of how many, they will be above Arsenal, which is mad to think about, considering how many times Arsenal have been so far clear and you think the title's gone, and now if they lose at the Etihad, it's then out of their hands. But from the flip side, if they win that game, it's their title, isn't it?
Yep.
They could win the league on Sunday.
Look, there'll still be games to go, and they need to win the other games. You know what I mean? And it's not like Man City haven't shown an ability to lose games, which they shouldn't. So there's still work to do. But
Arsenal win the league.
Arsenal as well. They've shown the ability to drop points where they shouldn't as well.
If they win, it's over.
I don't know. I mean,
9 points and only 1 game in hand.
Oh, if they win, yeah.
I'm saying if Arsenal win, they could win the league on Sunday.
Yeah,
they could win that league on Sunday. So as much as
there'll be 1 game in hand, right?
There'll be 1 game in hand, but 9 points clear.
Yeah.
That's how tight.
No, if Arsenal win, yeah.
If Arsenal win, they'll win the league, and so that's how mad it could be.
I can't see Arsenal winning the game. I think a draw at best.
They just seem devoid of ideas, Arsenal. I know we've spoken about them, but if you look at City and how they play, they just seem so full of creativity, so full of chances, so full of players who are always able to create something. And they've got Haaland, who's just a goal machine. And you compare that to Arsenal, it's almost like they're just always so stodgy, and they have to kind of squeeze chances out of every little thing they can, mostly from set pieces and whatever, headers and a penalty and here and there, and try and get over the line and then just kind of keep what they have. Whereas you look at City and they got Doku and Cherki just effortlessly just gliding past players and opening teams up, and it's almost as if like Arsenal are getting like they're like kind of treading water, getting the max of what they got, and City have levels to go. It's like they got gears to go up.
Arsenal are nowhere near getting the max out of what they've got. Nowhere near. They've been getting away with it all season. They really have been. Manchester City, they've just been erratic all season. Like they can go on this run and you're thinking, all right, City are back, creative, scoring goals. Then out of nowhere, they'll draw with Nottingham Forest and go on a bad run. You know what I mean? So even if Manchester City win against Arsenal, I know the blow mentally will be a massive blow to Arsenal, but there's still an opportunity there for Arsenal to still go and win the league, because do you fully trust Man City to win every single game, judging of what they've been like this season? So if Arsenal win, yeah, I agree. It's done and dusted.
Yeah, but the thing is with City, even in games they don't win, they usually have like a lot more chances than the opposition. Like Arsenal at the moment, like even games they do win, they don't always have more chances than the opposition. It's like always very, very tight. Whereas Man City usually do play better than the opposition, but a lot of the times they've not come out on top.
Yeah, but Man City's defence can be got at on the counter-attack.
And now Arsenal's can in recent weeks.
Yeah, true. But, you know, you're looking at these last 3 games for Man City in the Premier League. Brentford, Bournemouth and Aston Villa.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to want those games, last 3 games.
No. Well, probably not, no. I think Arsenal definitely have the better fixtures, for sure.
Yeah, like those 3 games, because, you know, those 3 have historically given Man City hard times over the last couple of years because of their style of play that can counteract the way Man City play. So I think even if Man City win, the title's not done and dusted.
No, definitely not. But it can't. No, for sure, it's not done and dusted. Even if it just puts it in City's hands.
Yeah,
and you wouldn't bet against them.
No, wouldn't bet against them.
Not letting it go.
We got to talk quickly about Nico O'Reilly. Like, this guy is a phenomenon. Scoring again yesterday, getting 2 goals against Arsenal in the cup final as well. A couple of other goals in recent weeks as well.
6 and 8, I think.
It's incredible. Getting a few assists as well in the meantime. You know, Man City always have this player in the last in the run of the season that just goes in overdrive. A couple of years ago, it was Rodri. Do you remember Rodri? A couple of years ago, just getting goal after goal.
Gvardiol, wasn't it, one year?
Gvardiol, I think Rodri 1 year, Gvardiol 1 year. This year it seems to be him as well. And this year it seems to be Nico O'Reilly.
Yeah, and what a job he's done with him, Pep. I think he's so good at just developing players, isn't he, and bringing these youth players. Obviously, they have very talented youth players, but over the years, he's always found a way to fit these youth players into the setup and bring it. And I think he's brought another one through here, Nico O'Reilly, a midfielder by trade who's playing at left back, kind of his hybrid role, inverted left back, part centre mid, and I think he's really making use of his height, and I think it's just giving City another weapon, because when they put the balls in the box, obviously everyone's looking at dealing with Haaland, and he's kind of going in on the blind side at the back post unnoticed, and he's being very, very hard to pick up, and I think he's clearly very tall, very physically imposing player. And I think he's definitely gone under the radar for what an aerial threat he is. And he keeps scoring headers at the moment, and did it again on the weekend to open the scoring. Brilliant player. And I think he should be going to the World Cup.
Yeah, 100%. He should be starting at the World Cup. Never mind just going. And I would say as well, like the January signings in Gehi and Semenyo, if Man City go on and win the league, them two are going to be a massive reason of why they've won the league. Both these guys have just come in, slotted in straight away, no bedding in period, and just carried on their form from Crystal Palace and from Bournemouth, and just onto the stage at Manchester City.
Absolutely.
So, fantastic.
Brilliant
signings. Last but not least was Monday Night Football at Old Trafford. Manchester United 1, Leeds 2. You went for 2-1 to United. I went for 3-1 to United. And yeah, I thought United was shocking. I really thought United was shocking. Leeds came out with fire in their belly. They were playing unbelievable football. They were destroying Manchester United in the first half, and they should have got more goals. And look, the game kind of switched a little bit when the sending off. I thought it was a ridiculous sending off, to be honest. Out of nowhere, the referee just gets something in his ear from VAR saying that Lisandro Martinez has tugged on or has pulled on Dominic Calvert-Lewin's hair, and then when they showed it back, it was like the slightest of tug. Like, I was like, come on, did you really have to pull it back for that? I thought it was ridiculous, to be honest. And the ref even went over to the monitor, looked at it, and and decided to send him off. I mean, what were your thoughts on it?
I thought it was just a disgraceful decision. I understand they've made this rule that if you pull someone's hair, I don't know if they've maybe done it after the whole Romero thing when he pulled Cucurella's hair and nothing was given. But they've come to some sort of consensus that if you pull a player's hair in a violent way, then that's a red card. But they've taken this to the absolute extreme in this situation where literally Martinez is just jumping for the ball. I don't think he's got any mind for Calvert-Lewin's hair or anything. I think maybe he's trying to grab the shirt or maybe he's trying to just grab onto him. He literally pulls Calvert-Lewin's hair just slightly, not even like it wasn't even a violent pull, just a slight tug of his hair. And all of a sudden, that is enough to send him off. I thought, that is just not violent conduct. Who can look at that and think that's violent?
And what, this guy's going to be out for 3 games now because of that?
How is that violent? It's a slight, like, it basically touched his hair a bit. Calvert-Lewin barely got affected by it. I think it's almost like, oh, if you touch the hair now, that's like a red card. Like, what kind of game are we living in? It's ridiculous. But it was weird because a few weeks ago, Semenyo literally got pulled back by his hair and nothing was given. VAR looked at that and said no. Yeah, this one with a slight little tug of Calvert-Lewin's hair, it's an immediate red card. I thought it's ridiculous, to be honest, that was given as a red card. I feel I was a Man United fan, I'll be fuming. But at the end of the day, as you say, Leeds, what chances they had in the early exchanges. They got 2 goals ahead. It should have been more, shouldn't it? You know, Calvert-Lewin missed a great chance. Tanaka went past the keeper and off the line. They nearly kind of kicked themselves for not putting the game to bed because United did come back into it late in the game and got a goal and
they
had one
improved
off
with
the
10
line.
Man United.
Yeah, they had off the line as well. They could have equalised. So Leeds nearly kicked themselves for not killing the game off. But at the end of the day, they did enough to win the game and they were much the better side. And what a performance from them, because a lot of people, even us included, saying they're still not out of this. They're still very much in the thick of this relegation fight. And that win has really, an unexpected win, is looking good for them. I mean, I can't see them going down now. 6 points away from the relegation zone, and they've still got Wolves and Burnley to play as well. So that win might have just secured safety for them. It's an incredible result. Yeah,
I think it has secured safety. Before Tottenham they play Wolves at home, and it could be 9 points. So I think that's insurmountable for me.
And Man United, not great performance. They haven't been playing that well lately, to be honest, Man United, after an initial bounce again for Carrick.
I think they need, 2 more wins out of the last 6 games to finish in the top 5.
Yeah, I think they should be all right for top 5. I'm saying manner of performances haven't been great lately. No. Losing to 10-men Newcastle. They weren't great against Bournemouth. They were horrible in this game. This was like peak Amorim. Yeah. These performances.
But at the end of the day, Carrick's come in, done enough to get them Champions League football for next season, in my opinion. So, as an interim, you can't really complain, can you?
True. But in terms of the relegation fight, that Leeds win is massive, absolutely massive for them. Are they completely out of the question now?
I think if they win this weekend, yes. But they have to go and win it.
So they're now 6 points away from Spurs. So literally, considering the fixtures they have, I really thought they could get dragged back into it. So Forest and West Ham as well be looking at this result thinking, no chance of trying to claw them back into it now. It's going to be very, very difficult. And Tottenham especially, from Tottenham's perspective, you need as many teams as possible involved in this relegation fight to give yourself the best chance. And this win has really come as a shock to everyone, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But star men, Sim went for Gomez of Brighton. No goals, no assists. I went for Bruno Fernandes grabbing an assist in the game to bring Man United back into it. So we finish off on 327 to 312. 15 points is the gap. I think you've extended it by 1 this week. So we move on. 6 games to go. Big 6 games for many teams, but definitely for me going into the final 6 games of Predict the Prem. But we'll see you all on Thursday for another round, people. Have a good week.